Hello, how are you today? This week we're learning all about the water cycle and how rain comes down or condensation or dew comes down and then it evaporates and goes through a whole cycle back up into the clouds. I've got a great book to share with us today, and then we're going to look at some cool pictures of the cycle. This is the book we're going to be looking at today. It's called Waterworks. It starts with this beautiful picture of a waterfall. And it says, a cycle is a pattern of events that happens again and again. There are many kinds of cycles. Earth's orbit around the sun is a cycle. The seasons of the year are a cycle. Even the rising and the setting of the sun each day is a cycle. One of the most important cycles that happens is the water cycle. All living things need water. Without fresh water, people, animals, and plants would die. The water cycle brings fresh water to the earth. It refills supplies of waters in the ocean, lakes, rivers, and under the ground. The water cycle. Most of the water on Earth is salt water in the oceans. The water is too salty for drinking, washing, and most other uses. People and animals need fresh water because it does not have salt. The water cycle keeps refueling the supply of fresh water. The drawing shows how the water cycle works. Okay, there's precipitation right there. That's the rain coming down from clouds. Oh, and there's the runoff. It's running down the mountain. Right up here, it says condensation. It's building back. And at the very bottom here, we see evaporation. And that's the water evaporating back up off the ground. Oceans make up about 96.5% of the water on Earth. That means that only 3.5% of Earth's water comes from lakes, rivers, streams, groundwaters, and other sources. Okay, and there's a little graph right here. That's the fresh water right there, and that's the salt water right there. You probably think of water as clear liquid. Most water is in liquid form in the oceans, rivers, lakes, and under the ground. But a lot of Earth's water supply stays frozen in the polar ice caps. Trillions of gallons of water are in the air above you, in water vapor. When the sun heats the surface of the body of water, tiny drops of water become a gas called water vapor. This process is called evaporation. Trees and other plants also give off water vapor through their leaves. All of this water vapor rises into the air, cools, and forms clouds. Over here it says, imagine you are doing a science experiment about evaporation. Your measurements show that 1.8 ounces of water evaporates from a container of water each day. Estimate the total amount of water that will evaporate after 30 days. Ooh, that's a good little science project. We'll come back to that. As water vapor rises into the air, it cools. Cooled water vapor returns to a liquid form. This process is called condensation. There are many shapes, colors, and sizes of clouds. Different kinds of clouds form depending on the weather, air temperature, and wind. Clouds that form close to the ground are made of tiny drops of water. Clouds high up in the sky are made of ice crystals. Scientists have a name for every kind of cloud. Those are the different types of clouds. Precipitation. As water in cloud condenses, the water droplets get heavy. When the drops get heavy, the water returns to Earth. This is called precipitation. That's the rain. Precipitation coming back down. It says all about it right here. It says, suppose your class measured rainfall on your playground. After 3 days, your cup had 5.6 inches of rain. Estimate how much rain fell per day. We've got a lot of really cool things to do with our books here. Water falls to earth in different forms. When water falls in a liquid form, it is called rain. Sometimes water freezes solid as it falls through cold air. Freezing rain will become snow or another form of ice depending on the weather. Snowflakes are frozen ice crystals. Hail is hard balls of ice. Sleet is partially frozen rain. There's the hail right there. Snow. Isn't that cool? And it says the heaviest piece of hail ever recorded in the United States weighed 1.7 pounds. Some parts of the United States get a lot of rain, while other places are very dry. Landforms, wind patterns, and oceans can make a big difference in the amount of rain an area gets. Look at this map of the United States to see how much rain and snowfall are in different areas. Ooh, that's us right there, Tennessee. And we are in the wet region, more than or up to 60 inches a year. Wow. It says all up here, it says Tucson, Arizona gets much less rain than Columbus, Ohio. One year it rained a total of 32 days in Columbus. It rained only a fourth as much days in Tucson. How many days did it rain in Tucson that year? For his science project, Lewis wanted to compare the amount of rain or snow that fell each month in different cities. He chose 4 cities. Lewis studied to find out how much rain or snow fell over 4 months. Lewis wrote the information in a table and on a graph. Okay, here's it raining right here. See all the umbrellas there? And then Lewis made a graph over here. And this is the total amount of rain. And then down here, yeah, we can see it a little bit better down there. Floods and droughts. Sometimes it rains so much in an area that there is a flood. Floods happen when rain pours down too quickly or it rains for such a long time that the ground cannot soak up the rain. Rivers or lakes might overflow. The extra water covers the land, streets, and even cars and houses. It says down here, the town of Greenville had a flood after it rained every day for 3 weeks. In those 21 days, the total amount of rainfall was around 40 inches. Estimate to find out how much rain fell on the average each day. It does not rain for a long time on an area and it might have a drought. Droughts happen when there is not enough rain for weeks, months, or even years. The soil gets dry and cracked. Lakes and rivers dry up. Droughts are very hard on living things. And it says droughts happen when there is no rain for a long time. Returning to Earth. Water comes back to Earth when it rains or snows. When it rains over the ocean, rainwater mixes with ocean water. When it rains over land, rainwater goes into the ground or into rivers or lakes. Snow might stay frozen for a long time. When snow and ice melt, streams of water flow down mountains and soak into the ground. Some scientists are interested in how much rain falls in each area. They have ways of measuring and estimating the total rainfall over large areas. Scientists often use scientific notation when writing in the amount of rainfall because the numbers are so large. Rainwater goes into the ground through cracks in rocks and soils. Trees and other plants use some of this water, but most rainwater keeps going deeper and deeper. The water keeps sinking until it reaches a place where the ground is filled with groundwater. There is often solid rock below groundwater, which keeps it from sinking deeper. Some groundwater flows back into oceans, rivers, and lakes. Some groundwater is pumped out through wells by people. That's the groundwater right there. There's a lake. Isn't that beautiful? And it says the United States is one of the largest water well markets in the world, with about 16 million wells. This amount is 4 times as large as the amount of water wells in China. About how many water wells does China have? We'll figure that out. And at the very back, it has our glossary, and it talks about condensation, water changing from gas to liquid, evaporates, water changing from liquid to a gas state, groundwater, stored amounts of water beneath the ground, and precipitation, any form of water particles falling to Earth's surface.